Hello again. Now, stranded and confused, that's the predicament facing hundreds of passengers at airports across the country. Kulula and British Airways have cancelled their flights due to safety concerns about Comair planes. My colleague, that's reporters Heidi, Giokos and Lindsay Dentlinger, are tracking these developments for us this hour. Lindsay is in Cape Town and Heidi is at OR Tambo International Airport. Heidi, let's start there where you are in Ekurhuleni. How are things looking at OR Tambo?
Not much has changed, Bradan. What we do understand is that the Civil Aviation Authority is still needing more information and documentation from Comair until they decide whether or not it's going to be safe for Kulula and British Airways to resume their flights. Yesterday, Comair announced that it would be ready to start flying by midday. This was all under the impression that the Civil Aviation Authority would be satisfied with the documentation. However, that has not been the case, and the Civil Aviation Authority has indicated how it is very concerned about the fact that there are immediate safety risks that are at play here, and it's going to be very difficult for them to just allow Comair to fly again. Passengers, it seems the majority of them have been informed that flights have been suspended, so they do not come to the airport. But we have seen one or two passengers, especially international passengers. We spoke to a young lady who had come from France. She's supposed to be flying to Cape Town today at 4 o'clock. Yesterday we spoke to somebody from Mozambique that was supposed to be flying to Cape Town that had not received the message yet. And still today you have passengers who have not had the communication sent to them that all flights are going to be suspended until further notice. And you can see behind me, it's completely empty. I'm going to ask Heidi to just quickly show you. It's completely empty. There's nobody here. There's not even Comair staff assisting at the airport to say there's no flights, you should not come to the airport, rather just make sure you call and check beforehand. So it's a very difficult scenario here, especially for passengers that did not receive the communication on time. But we did get a chance to speak to one of the passengers who had not received the communication, drove all the way from Standerton, got here at 11 o'clock for check-in, and he was only told at 11 that his flight was cancelled. Let's listen to what he had to say to us earlier.
I flew all the way from Toronto to be in Victoria Falls for my father's 70th birthday. And unfortunately, we got here and we were told the flight is cancelled. We were booking for the next day. The next day came, we checked out of the hotel. Only the flight got suspended. No communication then, except that, you know, everyone's on a hard... That's a hard thing, I understand, for the ground staff. But this is the real world impact of these flights being cancelled, is that, you know, I'm not going to be able to see my father for his 70th birthday. And the communication has not been the best. And the impact means I'm out of pocket, and I'm now booking with another airline just to get to the neighboring country, just to be able to get to my father's destination.
I only got an SMS when I got here, around about 11, when I was about to check in. I traveled almost 200 kilometers. Now I tried to call them. There is no one who's picking up the calls. There's no one here to explain to us, to take responsibility what is happening with us. Now I'm stranded. I've got to be in a meeting at 5. So I'm here. My wife is sitting there. So I don't know what to do.
You can just hear the frustration from those two passengers that Heidi, you've spoken to. Lindsay, what is it like there in Cape Town?
Well, Diana, a lot quieter now. As you can see, the Kulula counter behind me. Every hour or so, we see a handful of people trickle in, still hoping that they can fly. And it wasn't until noon today that those monitors behind me were updated to say no flights will take off for Kulula today. And we've just seen on their social media that they now also say there will be no flights taking off here tomorrow. So it was really in the early morning that we saw quite a few passengers coming here, and those were largely the passengers who have already been stranded since Saturday and were not eligible to get on those charter flights that we saw leave here yesterday. The last one left just before midnight last night. So I think that those who came here early this morning were hopeful that there would be more charter flights to help them get to where they need to be. But the Kulula staff here telling me that was not going to happen. And so, of course, many also frustrated after a weekend of cycling here in the mother city, needing to get home, needing to get back to work, needing to get back to their businesses, and that they are going to be left out of pocket because Kulula will only provide them with a refund in as far as they will receive a travel voucher for future travel in the next 6 months or so, but it doesn't help them when they need to shell out thousands of rands for alternative ways to get home. And that said, there are very few options left to them. Most other airlines were already sold out early today, and those that still had tickets available were literally charging thousands of rands for a ticket to Johannesburg or to Durban. So, of course, much frustration here too earlier today. Here's some of those people I spoke to who still came to the airport today in the hope that things had changed.
Coming to Cape Town to enjoy. The weather tried to miss our race, but we made it. Little did we know that we are waiting for a bigger mess by Kulula and British Airways.
I booked a plane with British Airways to travel to Cape Town. When I got here, I'm told that British Airways has
Been grounded.
They've been grounded, all their planes, the Kulula and that. So we said to them, what are we supposed to do? Are you going to refund or no? They said, no, we can't refund you. Then find another plane or go back home. Remember, I paid for the hotel. Who was going to reimburse me for that? I must go back home. They don't care. Look at the counter. The counter is closed. They give us these SMSs and the emails. We've been phoning them since Saturday, Sunday, Monday. We are here. We are still here. We are stranded. So we must now come up with another plan to go back home. Then we're going to struggle with our refunds.
We were on our way back. We're missing work today because of Kulula and them. And we just believe that, I believe personally, that they should close shop if they can't assist us because we're suffering as clients. We have to go book accommodation. There's only a flight tomorrow available for about 4,000 rand that you have to pay extra. And there's no help. There's no crisis plan. The CEO promises things that he can't deliver on, like the flights are resuming on Sunday, 12 o'clock. So it's unacceptable for us.
Thank you very much, Lindsay. As you just said, on the Twitter timeline of Kulula, there's all kinds of announcements. I've just seen one. I'm sure you and Heidi have seen it as well, that the Comair regrets to advise that it has had to cancel its flights for Tuesday, 15th of March, because they have to satisfy the Civil Aviation Authority that they've attended to all the safety concerns, that have been raised. We'll have to wait and see what's going to happen. Meanwhile, you've got those hundreds of frustrated travelers. Thank you very much, Lindsay Dentlinger at the Cape Town International Airport and Heidi Giokos at the OR Tambo International Airport. And